Gentlemen, we're back in action. It's game number 4 in this best of 5 semifinals. Spawning in the bottom left corner of the map, it's going to be the blue Zerg player, Losira.
Never right as the red Protoss, it's Yoey Flash Wolves PartinG.
And of course, big nod and thank you to our sponsors, Proxy.gg, esports betting website, not with real money, but of course fake and pretend points called Bread, similar to the Partoof system here on Base Trade TV. Use promo code BaseTradeTV if you want some free bread. Of course, the big love goes to CM Storm, and of course, cheers for gaming for supporting what we do. But Losira again with an early pull. It's like I feel this is almost like the story of Goldilocks, right? Like 8's too hot, 14's too cold, so now he's going with 10. Is this just right?
I was wondering where you're going with that, but I get it now. Yeah, I really think that like going for the 13-13 or 14 or whatever he did last game would have been good again. I mean, it was a little rare that PartinG would have gone for the cannon rush with 2 probes anyways, and that's I think what really made him decide not to go for it. But 10 pull's fine too, whatever. PartinG is going for a fast expand. There it is, it puts it down. So this is going to be effective no matter what.
I'm just going back in my mind. If you guys missed it, I mean seriously, I won't. You know the outcome of the game because PartinG's here, but PartinG versus Departure in the group stage of this on Overgrowth was like the most amazing PvZ I've ever seen. It was so fun to watch, and well, it's not quite the same opener. It was still early pool with gas back then versus PartinG's expansion, and PartinG, well, he's going to struggle to deal with these lings. Probes can certainly deal with 4. This is not so crazy. 6 is going to be a little bit harder to deal with, of course, but chronoing out that Zealot as soon as the gateway's done is going to be a huge necessity.
Yeah. Of course, the probe sees all of this, so at least we're mentally prepared, but not so much build order prepared. Now, this shouldn't kill the Nexus. Like, it's not enough lings to do that, and there's no follow-up. Oh, there is a follow-up, actually. There's on a gas.
Yeah, 4 more lings, actually, too. So he's really going heavy into this. I think it was as soon as he scouted that Nexus with the Overlord, he's like, you know what, I'm not going to make any drones. And for PartinG's sake, like, what can he really do? He pulls some probes immediately. This is all too familiar to him, though, especially in this tournament has this happened to him. I mean, that's kind of the scary thing, too. Like, you guys consider Losira had 45 minutes just to probably go watch VODs of PartinG at this point. I mean, to know exactly what he was planning to do, how to react to it, what worked, what didn't work, I don't know. Either way, good control so far. Nothing really lost for either player. Just mining time for PartinG, which does suck, but...
The probe is so important back on the other side of the field. He is seeing all of the lings going across the map, so he knows that this isn't going to stop, okay? He's not going to be able to stop producing zealots or stop producing like anything and just go back to probing. No, he needs units if he wants to keep this Nexus alive. And at a point, it might become questionable if he is even should try and keep it alive. Like, there's going to be a lot of lings.
At the moment, it's just slow lings, though. So the thing is, the Mothership Core will be able to catch a lot of these.
Yeah. But there's so many. I mean, look how many more coming across the map. But like, even with the probes and the zealot, like 2 zealots, a full surround, if it ever happens, would probably kill the Nexus with some lings to spare, and that may be worth it.
The whole position's a little bit awkward, but I think it's just barely enough. Problem is, though, he can't really, like, he doesn't want to lose this, obviously, but that surround, he's trying to keep it from getting that full surround. Zealots do get caught. 3 zealots here, lots of probes. Mothership Core trying to do what it can, bringing help from above.
Looking up for PartinG though. He's taking on a lot of the lings. I don't think they can suicide on the Nexus anymore. They never had speed. He's not getting that many probes, except now he is.
Yeah. PartinG realizing though that he's not in that much danger, decides to start pulling them around, ring around the rosy a little bit. 1 Zergling remains. Losira evens up the worker killing control out of PartinG. Seriously.
Okay, that was an important, really hard hold. I just can't, you know, the probe seeing how many lings are on the way was so important. If at any point you just stop and think maybe they're not continuing on and you don't chrono out that next zealot, you might just lose your Nexus because of it. But he knew exactly what was coming, so I'm sure a lot of chrono was going down on that gateway, and he survives with the Nexus. And while his gateway his wall might be a little funky now, that's something he has to deal with later. You know, for now, he's going to be happy that he's alive.
Well, the necessity of that wall at the time, too, was kind of a big deal. So, I mean, let's be honest, we didn't really know PartinG was going to hold that 100%. There's a lot of instances where we saw firsthand, in fact, that doesn't go well for PartinG, in this tournament especially, but you're right. The wall now a little bit more awkward, perhaps not as clean and forward as he'd like. Still, though, it's a wall nonetheless where I think a force field should be able to cover that gap. I'm actually not sure of the girth of that force field, but back home for Losira, you know, he takes the third. Roach Warren's on the way here, but he's still playing without too much gas. Like, 2 geysers is perfectly fine, but 2 geysers is not going to net you Hydralisks, and 2 geysers is not going to net you, like, the quickest layer you've ever seen in your life.
You might be looking to skip speed as well, just to make sure you get roaches. It depends on what like composition you want to go for, of course. If he decides to go for like Hydra, well, you want to start that speed right now. But as it is, he might be going for just the roaches. The thing about the wall is not necessarily that, like, you know, Force Field will cover it, but it'll only cover it against lings, not roaches. But we have a lot of gateways going down.
And he killed the Overlord, too. No way to scout this.
Okay, 7 gateways in total.
This is, I'd say, a really smart move out of PartinG, simply because he's going to get away with it unscouted. The problem is, though, again, an all-in, right? Like, that's the key phrase here.
And the problem also is that Losira was planning his own attack. He knew that the you know, PartinG was a little bit in shambles, the wall was in shambles. I'm gonna attack with roaches and see what I can do. So he's not gonna only have roaches like to attack, but coincidentally also to defend. He is on a low drone count though, so I'll have to see how the production works out. Sometimes a Pro player can simply overproduce, you know, a Zerg that hasn't droned up enough.
The attack will commence here in a moment. We're going to have those nasty force fields that go north of the hatchery and use the hatchery essentially as part of the force fields. Of course, every time I see this happen, I inside laugh and I'm like, ha, Terran can lift their command centers, but not the hatchery, sadly. Although, could you imagine if Zerg buildings could burrow? Oh, that'd be so cool. Anyways, the force fields do go down and catch a couple of the roaches. Again, another session of Rifkin's balance. Don't ever listen to it. He's actually going to focus the hatchery, though. Usually you just trade the army, but I guess he'll do this on recall?
Yeah, he's got to recall now, though.
Actually doesn't really lose much for this, but trying to do that third for what was not quite free, but the next closest thing, a heavy discount, I guess. The sentries are all low, but they did live was kind of the key thing, with the actual units lost and not a sentry dead, but just zealots and probes. Counterattack, though, is coming out of Losira, like you said, like he was prepping for his own attack before this. That's kind of the counterattack that's now being chosen. PartinG, if he gets some good force field, should be able to deal with this, though. No speed on these roaches, very slow.
Yeah. And he does have force field left over, so this actually isn't looking so bad.
The Immortals might come out in due time for this, too, but at the same time, I really don't think this is that big of a threat. The nice thing about slow roaches, for PartinG's sake, is it gives him a lot of time to react, but also it means he can walk around a little bit. Awkward drone is awkward, but yeah, the sentries still have enough energy for some force fields. The longer he waits, the worse this gets, and Losira can't really keep going forward. Oh, that was an on-purpose drone. That's cool. Pulls a TLO, if you will. Build cancels the hatchery to get a little bit of creep down and put tumors. That's kind of neat.
Well, the game's calmed down. You gotta realize that PartinG did take a third down. It wasn't really a lot of drones, but of course it is 300 minerals and the drone to make it, so it is an investment. So Losira's like follow-up, besides that counterattack that was very slow, it's not going to be too scary for a while, and PartinG has time to breathe. Get that third up and running so a cannon's available for it. Also get an Immortal.
So he's doing it again. The first set of this creep tumor, it accelerates across the map, and that's cool. What I'm imagining these additional tumors are for, though, not just movement speed through the creep, which is always a benefit, but deny area in which the pylons can be placed. I mean, that is kind of one of the big things. Like, if you were going to be coming with Protoss all in, you're looking for pylons, not really warp prisms, but the warp prism is coming out for this round of attack.
Yeah, PartinG had it on 2 more gateways. Not many probes at the third either. And looks like he's gearing up for an attack. Now, it'll only have +1. Blink won't be ready unless he like really just stays out here for a very long time. So he's got to have recall ready to go. But it looks like he's just scaring Losira. He took away the creep tumors that Losira had like dedicated 75 minerals to get with the hatchery cancel.
I think one of the big things with this, though, okay, there's going to be Immortals, that's cool, but you're right, like that blink, if he waits for that blink, I feel like this is going to be a very, very strong attack, but if he goes before blink, kind of lackluster. Losira going for the Spire, though, behind this. He's setting up for what is possibly a swap to Mutas. Mutas are never going to win you a game, usually most of the time alone, but the surprise element of them, catching your opponent off guard, forcing PartinG to constantly blink between the main and the natural, I mean, that's what Mutas do best. But we'll see if he can get to that point or not. The Phoenix does scout all of this, including the infestation pit.
Yeah, so Losira still has a chance to surprise PartinG, because PartinG has to guess right now, like, Swarm Host or Mutas. Which one's it gonna be? We'll even let Losira choose himself, though. I mean, this attack, it's strong, right? It has Blink, doesn't have +2, but it's on its way. It's a big army. That is just the one immortal that's gonna really help out against the roaches.
Not burning too many force fields. It's kind of important for PartinG he doesn't get baited into the wrong thing here, but this looks somewhat similar to last time. The difference is, of course, there's going to be a lot more to this for PartinG, and it doesn't feel like Losira has any more in his army, right? Like, it's not like this time he's got Hydras around or anything like that. Force fields can go down on this quite nicely. Guardian Shield starts out pretty quick. Surround for the back end, good to try and get on top of this Immortal. Can't pick it up in the Warp Prism. Not going to pick it up in the Warp Prism. Ooh, PartinG going to lose that Immortal, actually. So, Stalker count's still very high. Some +1 weapon upgrades. The melee upgrades for Losira are not going to benefit him, as all the Zerglings are pretty much dead. It's just roaches. And, well, the army supply is still somewhat even, but these force fields are going to have something to say about that.
Yeah. A PartinG attack at a really key time. Losira was choosing which tech to go to. He canceled Enduring Locust so he could get as many roaches out as possible, but roaches just aren't that great. In general, really, and the Blink Stalkers, of course, are just, you know, dominating them right now, along with the force fields, and PartinG has great force fields.
Yeah, the snowball is very real here. Blaze forward very aggressively. Good game is called, and PartinG will start this series off down 0-2, but